Welcome to How Women Inspire. Today, I have the honor of speaking with my dear friend, Dr. Keera Godfrey. She is a friend and a business partner, and we have so much we are going to talk about today, and I can't wait for you to meet her. Dr. Godfrey is the CEO and founder of Naris Communications and the Naris Leadership Academy. She has been leading change in organizational change management, digital adoption, and culture transformation for over 20 years. Everybody knows her because she is innovative and helps organizations activate strategies to boost performance, drive productivity, but all with a human-centered focus. This is her unique superpower. Dr. Godfrey works closely with C-suite executives who are on a mission to transform their business models and strategies through digitization, all while promoting inclusion, diversity, and new ways of working so everybody wins and companies are better. She's also the author of the book, Leaving Normal, How to Let Go and Move the Heck On. Oh my God. Okay, I want you to lean into that. Did you hear that? Leaving Normal, How to Let Go and Move the Heck On. I love that. That's not all. She's also an angel investor and an investor in our venture firm, How Women Invest Fund 2. And she is now an operating advisor to our third venture fund. So whether she's reshaping company cultures or building investment opportunities in the world, Dr. Godfrey is all about making a meaningful impact. Well, you can tell. And she is all about figuring out what is the new innovative thing that is no longer just leaning into normal. I am so excited for you to meet her and dive into her expertise and hear about digital transformation leadership, but also the art of creating lasting change. Dr. Godfrey, Keera, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Julie. I'm so excited to be here. It's such a pleasure just to have this conversation, to have this time of carving out this space and protecting this space and time to inspire and to be inspired too. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think often for when I talk to people and I ask them about their walk-on song or that song for the hard times or the fun celebratory times, it's almost like, okay, now let's step back and be fun for a minute. But everything that you do has joy. And I think to me, it feels like, that's the source for you of some innovation and how to think differently and get out of the box. So would you share with all of us, what is that song for you? And is there a story around when you take it off the shelf and put it on Spotify?
I know. I was just thinking, I was like, you know what? It depends on what's going on, like I have different songs, different occasions and things of that nature. And so right now, as we're building a few things and getting some ideas going, we hit those challenging spots. And so for me, any song that honestly reminds me of God's presence and my dependence on Him, and how that I in and of myself, cannot do what I do and all the things that I do and have done. And so anytime I begin to think about my life and how I've gotten from one stage to another, and as I see myself some familiar spaces, okay, this is a little challenge here. So any song ranging from Jesus loves me to I surrender all. Actually, I surrender all is one of those songs that many people have sang the song. So like I know CeCe Winans have a version of it and Carrie Underwood have a version of it. And I really do enjoy Carrie Underwood's version of it. But that's the song that when I'm in that challenging space, it's like, okay, Keera, it's time to just surrender or just remember that in and of myself, I cannot do it. But there is something greater and some greater purpose behind me that drives me and that keeps me going. And so, and the moments of joy, though, I love me some Motown. Anything with Sam Cooke, Sam Cooke sing the alphabet, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's good. Let's go. Anything with Sam Cooke,
Morning.
Gaye,
That's all you need. Well, you know what? You give me chills and then the way you talk about this, and just anybody who knows you knows that you are so intellectually robust and joyful at the same time and so soulful. And so it shouldn't surprise me, but I love having this moment to connect on these with you.
Oh, makes me happy just to talk about it, knowing that in this space and having the conversation that with someone who understands, and, being on both sides of being a founder myself, and then also being an investor, like you get to see both sides and get to understand how this plays together and how there's such a great dependency on each other to make things work. And so just to be able to talk about it, it's a good thing. And so I'm excited.
Well, and I love the way you position that because we can't do it alone. And if you think about how do we create a really beautiful and supportive ecosystem? So right now, for example, in our venture firm, we're looking at an investment in a company founded by an extraordinary D in biochemistry who's been the chief science officer in two different companies. And she was one of our earliest investors in our first fund. Now, we're not investing in her because of that. That has nothing to do with it. But how to see like it can come full circle, right? And people who can contribute on both sides of the ecosystem like you're doing can be so incredibly valuable because you get it in so many different ways. It makes you such a better advisor and evaluator of companies and their potential because you've done it. So you've been primarily in the sort of consulting, supporting companies to really propel forward and do big things. But today you're starting a SaaS company, I hear.
Yes, 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 yes. So, starting out, my whole career, well, has been like you said, in that consultative space, really working on projects, helping people solve problems. And I really thrive in that space. So I always say that I don't make the greatest employee in the world. If I got to do the
Me
same thing,
neither.
it's like I came to that conclusion, and I'm like, okay, Keera, you don't. So let's see, what do you do? Because easily I would be working and, starting another business on the side and doing all kind of stuff. And I really do enjoy helping people solve the problem. Okay. And then let's move on to the next person or next company and their problems. And that really works for me. And the whole idea of consulting and helping organizations move from their current state of where they are and how people are working and how are they thinking, whether right or wrong, wherever you want to move to, or just understanding what's that process of helping people change behaviors in the workplace. So I just think it's fascinating and exciting. And then one time, just all of it is just, I don't know, it's just fascinating to see how humans relate to each other and how they relate to work. I think that's just amazing.
And in our lifetimes, in our adult lives, the transformation, what we thought it was 20 years ago is nowhere near what it is today.
Oh,
Uh,
no, not at
yeah.
all. I remember my mom worked I'm from the Bahamas, from Nassau. And so she worked for the Ministry of Health. So Bahamas it was a British territory. Now it's got its independence, but so it's still part of the Commonwealth though. But she worked for the Ministry of Health for like 30 years. She worked for government. And now I'm like, oh, I think the longest I've stayed at a job was maybe five, maybe I took five. I was like, oh gosh, it's so different. It's so
Uh,
very different of how we think about work and how we think about how we spend our time. It's just
well, and
different.
someone like you who likes to innovate and lead change, it's hard, you did it 4 or 5 years in, you did your part and it's time to move on.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point, Keera, where you decided, you know what, I want to start investing as an angel investor or a venture investor? How did that come about for you?
I think where it clicked for me is I've always, even when I worked in industry and worked for companies, I've always thought of it as a contract. I don't know why. I always had that mentality that this is a client. I'm doing this work. This is, it's not my retirement spot. Like I always had that in mind. But I wonder, I started to think of, and I wrote it in my book, the Leaving Normal book, because it's the idea of working. And I remember I was trying to go for a director's position opened up in HR. It's a director of learning and development. I tried to pursue it and someone said, oh, you won't be able to get that. And I was like, you know what? And when did not get the position, it really shifted something in my head to say, if I want to move and if I want to pursue and if I want to challenge myself in different areas, working a 9 to 5 may not be the place for me. It may not be what I was meant to do. And I started my college career at Clark Atlanta University. And Clark Atlanta had the motto, find a way or make one.
Aw.
That just changed my whole life. I could have left college at that one thing. Just learned that one thing and I was good. Just find a way or make one. And so when I did not get the position that I was looking for, and I realized that this is going to be the fate, I made one. And so that's why I started the business. And then as I started businesses and I'm working in these businesses, I realized, okay, I need my own insurance. I need to get certain things. I still need to support my family. I still need to do certain things to get, have a lifestyle that I want to
Yeah.
maintain. Got to think about retirement, all these different things. And I'm like, I need to diversify how I earn a living and that it will not just be me working because I can't do it all on my own. But how do I support other women who feel this way in terms of how they work and they want to thrive and they want to grow and they have an innovative idea that they want to put forth? But then also, how could I use that and to secure my financial future as well? So it was a win win. And so once I heard about how women invest, it was a no brainer. I was like, let go. And the funny thing about that too is people think I'm like all this, oh yeah, you're so spontaneous and you're so brave and bold. I'm like the most risk averse person you probably like. I'm like a rule follower in some degree. I am, I'm like if it's
Well,
a
sometimes in order to be the innovator, you actually have to have grounding. Otherwise, you're just
well,
like untethered,
yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
me. That's
Yeah.
me. I got some good grounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I think about investing in women founders, to me, it seems so safe.
Yeah.
To me, it didn't have that whole scary type of, oh, I'm shaking and I don't know. It's like when I think about women and I think about what we deal with and put up with and the way we think, I'm like, this is a sure bet. This is something here. This is something that's to me more solid than anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm a real estate agent as well, co-figure, right? So I'm doing these things and I have the ability. I'm on inactive right now, but I have the ability to earn money via real estate. So I understand that world and I understand different means of income. But investing in women, that was
It is pretty clear. It's a pretty good bet. Well, and
it's a
I love, you've diversified, you've got diverse revenue streams for yourself. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making the commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. Well, I'd love to hear sort of what have you gotten out of your engagement with How Women Invest and How Women Lead, because I feel like to me, so its design is so that you get to grow and meet new people. And my hope is that's part of what happens is it's not just an investment where you get money back. It's so much
yeah.
more. But
It's so much more. It's so much more. Honestly, I mean, being a founder, being an entrepreneur, it can get a little lonely out here. Most of my days after the kids go to school, it's just me and my dog Cooper, and Cooper's lovely, but sometimes with conversation, you want to bounce him.
well, something a little more intellectual, robust, more
No, just once in a while.
Uh-huh,
Once in a while, it's nice. And so, but sometimes it does get a little lonely, or sometimes you have ideas and you just want to bounce them off of someone, or you just want to just think through and stay engaged and stay connected. And that's to me what I've gotten out of this is to stay engaged and to stay connected. But also, it to me gave me honestly, and I'm just being open and honest here. There's a little bit of validation. It's the hey, who are you? And people are you get connection requests on LinkedIn where someone's just saying, hey, let's chat. I want to
Yeah.
get to know more
Yeah.
of what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, that's wonderful. It's just so nice to have that where you're able to share of yourself with others, and others are sharing of themselves as well. And then so many opportunities to go further. So as my time opens up, it's like, oh, you know what? I can really take it a step further and really share my time to help other women who are in other countries. I just love that program. It's like so many things you can
Oh,
do.
yeah, are Women Leaders for the World being a global advisor?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. It's
well,
just
okay, Keera, you just took an emotional risk and were authentic in saying sometimes it just feels good. It's like more, it's like a sort of a validation point. I'll tell you, I know the most powerful women in the world. And as you know, we do these retreats and I just did a retreat, 20 women, and every single one without fail was anxious to walk into the room thinking that they weren't enough compared to
yeah,
everybody. It's like everybody gets intimidated by other people. And I just think, I mean, here you are, award-winning author, a doctor, unbelievable career. There's so much about you that just is cream of the crop, top, and a beautiful human. And we all have that need. We all have a need to be seen, to be connected, to be validated. You can win all the awards and still 6 months later, you need someone to say, good job. You did
yeah.
right? You're enough. You're important, and I value you. You know, we all have that as a human need, and I think one of the things that in our credo, I always, that being fierce advocates for each other. Our credo is countercultural, and the whole thing is it's so freaking rough out there. Society is not designed to set up a Dr. Keira Godfrey for success, and you need other people to
You do. You
really
do.
set you up.
And when I think about, why do I do what I do and my hope for the future, it is around being able to, one, not repeating past mistakes, like mistakes, even as a society, and the way women have been treated, and the way, we're looked upon in the workplace. And then it's just like, what does that mean? And how society begins to see women. But then also the side of that is, well, how do we see ourselves? And we want to be accepted within society, and we want all these different things, but then sometimes we don't see it for ourselves, and we don't give ourselves the space and the validation to be who we are. We want to be accepted, but it's like, okay, but what are people actually accepting? We don't know. Who are you? And it's like trying to find this balance and this space, and being able to talk to other women about the things. And even with the retreat, I'll be there this month.
Oh, yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah,
I'll be there as well.
yeah.
And just being able to just have the space, protected time, and say, hey, we're going to get together and we're going to talk and we're going to support each other. And I mean, I'm just excited about it. And so you don't get this everywhere. Like, this is not normal.
Oh, but it's awfully beautiful.
It's
I mean, all of us, from the day you're born, you're getting your cues about where you fit into the world. You're learning from other people. Like, so the world's our validator in so many ways. And when we're not set up to be the center of the world, you got to find those protected spaces where people really see you and value you.
yeah.
But you have such a gigantic heart, and your commitment is around women founders and the future of work, being led by women. What does that mean to you? And why is venture such an important part of that story in your mind?
I think it is because when you think about how things get done, like in society, we need different roles in society. Like we need the sanitation worker, we need the teacher, we need the farmer, we need everyone to really fit into society and to really understand, well, what are we doing? How are we growing? How are we elevating our space for the next generation? And as women, it's like we have to have that seat at the table. Like, that's important because we're structuring what our children and our grandchildren and what they're going to see and what they're going to experience. And so I'm excited about that for women founders to now who are willing and want to step forward, because it's like, to me, some people ask me all the time, like, how are you doing all the things you do? And I say the thought of not doing some of these things is more traumatizing, or is
Yeah.
hurtful to not do it, to think about not doing it and not being able to do it, than doing it. So for these women who are willing to step forward, because venture may sound great, but it's
Yeah.
not for everyone. It's definitely a space of how you're going to grow your business, but it's not for every business. But when a woman says, come and partake in my business. They're
Yeah.
saying, come and help me care for my baby. Like that's an intimate thing for a woman to say, come and help me care for this, help me let this thing grow because you're changing the trajectory of their lives and the lives of their children. It's so many things that happen. It's not just an exchange of shares and money. It's such a deeper exchange. And I think I'm passionate about that because I understand what that means, especially for a company to come in and say, I want to partake. I believe in what you're doing. I'm validating what you're doing to the point that I'm willing to step forward with you. I'm
Yeah.
willing to help you, not just financially, but maybe a seat on your board or whatever you need to help you grow. I am here for you. That means so much. And, to be able to give that, oh my gosh, that just makes me.
You're so values based. You're such a beautiful soul. I thought you were going to talk on the intellectual level about
Oh,
well, that working and innovation and organizational structures, and that's what I want to see the future of the workforce. I mean, it's really beautiful and you just called out something I think so few of us really understand how precious it is when someone puts themselves out there. I
mhm.
was just talking to one of our investors who's going to take a board observer seat with one of our portfolio companies. And she went to a board meeting to observe. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, those young male VCs were just pushing her into a corner and making her life rough. And she's like, boy, now I see how much she needs to have someone in her corner in that boardroom. And to me, what you just said is about that. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting your heart and soul on the line. You're financially putting yourself at risk. You're putting your whole reputation on the line. You need people that will back you up and who will be by your side and who will help you solve problems, not harass you. And next board opportunity, we have to get you in the room. I know some people are still in that life stage where they want to prove how smart they are and stuff. And for you, you're like, listen, I want to lift people up. And that to me, that's the best kind of partner. And I feel that from you, Keera. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, well, good, because I mean that's truly my intent is that human. Even how I approach change management is through that human centered approach by understanding people. How I approach, I mean, anything, even building, even the SaaS platform that we're building now, it's through
Yeah.
the human centered approach and making sure that that still stays a part of how we work, even in the digital space. You still have to understand that technology is just the purpose of it is still to help people perform better. And you can have the greatest technology in the world, but if people don't use it, they can't use it, they don't believe in it. Did you really did you really transform anything? Because organizations don't change, people change.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to get people to buy into that
Yeah.
change, and you got to get people to use something. And there are certain aspects that need to be true in order for us to use and to do and to change our behavior. There's so many things that's involved in that, and so it's not just a matter of telling someone to do something. You're really selling. You sell change. It's not a matter of telling.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
love it. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating to me.
So we've talked about work, we've talked about books, we've talked about faith, we've talked about investing, but you mentioned your babies. So how do you think about integration of family and work? There's this idea of balance, but I think balance is such a folly
Yeah.
to talk
That was
about. As someone who's been a mom and worked my whole life, it's trade-offs every minute. But
Yep.
how do you think about it?
Yeah, that's the same thing. I'm so in line with what you just said. It's the balance. I don't know if balance is a word, so I don't balance it. I have to incorporate it, and then also I have to be able to recognize when I cannot do, and
Yeah.
I need to lean on others. So while I have two sons, so Christian, he's my oldest, he's 14, and Karsten, he's my youngest, so he's 13. So they're 14 months apart.
I gotta remember those that age.
I know. Yeah, so we're in that phase where I'm like, "Can I get a hug?" And they're like, "Ah."
Ellie, and they give it to you anyway. So
Yes. Oh, I'm like, "Nope, nope, yeah, give mommy a hug." But it's fascinating because when they were younger, we had the nannies and my mother stayed with me and she helped me. So it's really been able to lean on other people to get things done. And so that's a part of, you want to care for women. It's like, okay, so let me let you care for me. So there's a which I appreciate about even what we do here at How Women Invest. It's a part of receiving, and it's a giving and receiving, so as I'm receiving, I have to give as well. I have to surrender some things. And sometimes that's surrendering the I am woman, hear me raw. And so if we're doing that, I was like, you know what? Hey mom, I'm gonna need some help. And so she came and she helped me out. And now that they're older, I incorporate them into what I do. So I would say if I'm working on something, hey, I'm working on this. Do you have any ideas? I remember I was teaching a session on emotional intelligence. And so my son, Christian, he draws very well. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I used to draw growing up, but I mean, he really has an eye for it. And so I asked him to draw for me some images that I can use on my slides. And so it was really good because then he got to learn a little bit about emotional intelligence, and then I'm incorporating him to what I do and building up his skills. And so it's like now finding ways where it's just not a hard cutoff. It really is a more of a merging together, because especially as founders, one thing about a founder, or business or being an entrepreneur, it does not respect 9 to 5. Like
I'm not
that's
kidding.
so
But what a gift. I mean, having him have a chance to be seeing the creation and the formulation and the build confidence that he could add a slide to your deck and it actually adds some value in so many levels that is just absolutely profound. I cannot wait to see what happens 10 to 15 years
I
from now.
know.
Man.
Well, he did charge me though. He did
He
charge me
Good for him.
$50.
Hey, he also learned entrepreneurialism from you, so I think
Right.
that's a wise young man. All the lessons, whether you want it or not, all the lessons you're getting. Keera, I can't believe we're almost out of time. You and I could talk for another hour, and maybe we'll do this again after your SaaS company is birthed. How can people get in touch with you, and how can they find your book?
Yeah. So the book is on Amazon. So again, it's Leaving Normal, How to Let Go and Move the Heck On. If you have the Amazon where you can get it, oh God, what's the tool that they have where you can listen to the book?
Audiobooks or
And the audio book, and it's called, that. If you subscribe to that right there, you can get it free. Uh, so so Amazon, and then there's also obviously on LinkedIn, and so KS Godfrey on LinkedIn, and then also on Instagram. You can reach me at Naris Communications on Instagram, and on X, Naris Communications as well. So
This
many ways to find me.
Yeah, this has been such a treat. You're one unbelievable special human, and we are all so lucky to have your examples. So thank you very much
Thank you.
for your kindness and for being with me today.
Yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you so much, Julie. Anytime.
Have a great day, everyone.